Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. It was all going well. It was all going so very well. I had the new haircut, which meant that I wouldn't, sweat buckets while I was out filming anymore, or just in general. Obviously, I've returned to the UK. Well, I say obviously, you can't really see from this angle. And that all went, I wouldn't say without a hitch, but obviously without any major issues. I actually once again drove down. Took one wrong lane, but quickly corrected it. All in all, 0 potential lives endangered. So, can be said to be a good success as well. Did decently in parking. Was fully ready to go. Fully prepared to get Walking Wednesday on without any complications whatsoever. I was just walking along the street, and then it broke. In my hands. It just disintegrated. Gave up. So, yeah, a little bit of recycling I've got to deal with now, I guess. But hey, that thing has lasted since... Where did I get this? Was it Rome? I think it was. Potentially. It was definitely one of the yearly trips or something. Yeah, well, I think it was probably somewhere in Italy, I think. So yeah, it's lasted a good while, ultimately speaking. So yeah, it's I guess time for something new. Although I did get a new one afterwards, and that also broke. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, for now I guess I get a bit of an arm workout. Fantastic. Also, I was planning to walk past and show whatever is going on here, because I'm not actually sure. So my original plan, because basically what happened last week was, Wednesday, final choir rehearsal, I think I might have mentioned that. Thursday was the concert, and then there was Friday, Saturday. I think we flew back on Saturday. And then there was an actual other choir event that happened in this very venue that now seems to be set up for something completely different, but also sound related based on the van back there. And oh my goodness, hold on a second. I don't know if you can see those flying images there. They're not pixels. They are pretty sure they're midges. So yeah, I'm staying away from that. Reminds me of a section from Lord of the Rings, actually. There's a town that they pass just before Book 1 ends, and they say it's a place called Midgewater. Where according to Pippin, there are more midges than water. Makes me think of that. And they basically apparently had to travel down there for a fortnight. Because, what is pacing when it comes to Lord of the Rings? One thing I actually sometimes think about is that, Lord of the Rings obviously intended to be one big volume, but because of the war they didn't print out, they didn't have enough to print everything at once, so it got split into 3. Although in each of those books there's already a section, so book 1, book 2, etc, etc. So they already have a split of some kind. But yeah, in actuality, they could have actually gone with 6. But that would have been very bad, because book 1 ends right before they get to Rivendell, which is where most of the really interesting non-setup stuff happens. Anyway, that's beside the point. You want to hear about probably the choir concerts and all of that stuff. So, in that, I will say that the choir concert on Thursday almost didn't happen. So, reason for that is that because the students were all doing exams, and that was they've been doing them for some time, but there was still some left, basically. So they were all considering what would it be better to do the concert sometime. I guess it would have been this week, but it would have been next week when they mentioned it. So I showed up for one of the final rehearsals, actually, and that's what the director said to me. And I was like, well, great. The director knew about the fact that I had... I don't know if I told him I cancelled the Airbnb that I found that was because I was going to stay for the welding project, which would have taken us up to the 18th, and then would have moved out after that. But because of that, we changed it back to the 14th, and then all the flights and stuff were sorted. I'm not sure if he was fully aware of all of that stuff, but the students weren't. I didn't disclose anything to do with that. There's a 0% chance that Carl is going to end up watching that, but there you go. Anyway, so yeah, the students had no idea about that, or that I had limited time in Spain, that I was already, pushing the boundaries off. Because I didn't. It's not something that I would have, mentioned to them. So with that in mind, it didn't end up going through thanks to the director, because he stepped in because he said, oh, Wednesday we'll talk about what's going to happen. And we did. And, he put a foot down and said, yeah, no, we're doing it tomorrow because of me. So he was trying to make sure, everyone could be there. Which is great, because obviously, in a student choir, you want to prioritize the students, but, he definitely appreciates my presence there. And that's of the other teacher that was in the mix. Who I did say thank you to after the performance, because if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have known that the choir was even open to students. Because it was a new thing that year, and I happened to overhear a conversation in this teacher's lounge that she was having, talking about it, and I said, oh wait, I think I might have seen an advert for the choir, but I didn't know it was open to teachers, so I was like, oh, it's open? I was like, yeah. And that's when I went down there. It was, I think, Monday, so they were doing the baritones rehearsals. And I was like, okay, I'll come back tomorrow also for the soprano ones, but I'll stay here for today, and end up doing every single section. Because he said, oh yeah, you should do the tenors one as well. I was like, oh, well, here we go. Might as well do sopranos 2 on Thursday. And the rest was history. So yeah, if it weren't for her, none of that would have happened. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't be able to actually wrap up that chapter. Go out on a high note, almost literally, actually. We went out on Hey Jude, which, yeah, we actually finally got 2 English songs, one right at the beginning, one right at the end. And yeah, I don't know why it took that long. I feel like everyone I've talked to since then has said that, once we had a song in Zulu, that was it. There were no more excuses. So, that got resolved as well. The whole baritones thing actually also got resolved too, because, all the baritones were saying they were getting, what they did really was, they were all basses. I'm guessing, I think, because of general, I don't know why this is going off, I'm going to turn around. Because of general youth choir vocal ranges that he has worked with, that's what he determined, that no one was an alto, I guess. And so we had 2 soprano sections, even though the soprano 2s end up doing alto regions. Because yeah, that's the thing, it was alto, soprano, tenor, and bass were the things that I did, in my youth choir that I was in around the same age that some of those students were. Right here in this very town. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue was. But yeah, even afterwards, he actually finally started saying bajos at the end, which would be basses. So I guess in the end, it started to sink in a little bit. Or maybe we're just working with a different terminology. Maybe in Spain the ranges are cut off at different points. I don't actually know. I don't know what the official cut-off point for, for sopranos, altos, tenors, basses, mezzos, baritones, any of that stuff is. Because no one ever told me that. It was just like, you go here. Actually, no, I want to go there. Fine, you go there. And in this case, it was more of a case of, you go here. Actually, I want to go everywhere. Fine, go everywhere. So, yeah. Also, even during that final rehearsal, he was still, testing out my range and being like, okay, how far I can go in this warm-up here that we're doing. I was like, you normally cut us off before we get to this point. All right, I'm going to keep going. Yeah. The actual concert, I'd say resounding success. We were the class from First Bachillerato who have extra, music, singing lessons and had extra songs. They did their stuff at the beginning. A couple of new songs, I think, and some old ones. And we were all, jamming out in the wings to them. We had a very rushed decision to chop a few parts of the songs we hadn't rehearsed. Because we focused a lot on the new songs we were doing, and then kind of didn't disregard a lot of the songs we did for like other concerts, even the contest back in March, which was interesting. But yeah, it went to include like a whole 10-song repertoire, but we ended up cutting some of them, I guess partly for time, but partly also just because we hadn't done them at all, and not everyone was there. There were some new members. But yeah, I mean, the show was enjoyable enough. But if you asked my mum what the highlight of the evening was, it was definitely the after party, or well, after meal, let's say. Because yeah, I've said it before, not on camera, but I've said it in general in life, I suppose. That post-show adrenaline really, drives a lot of people. It's one of the biggest, like euphoric feelings that you have after completing a show. You're there with all of your friends who have like helped you along the way. The audience sometimes congratulating you, sometimes ignoring you, depending on the situation. But yeah, assuming the show didn't, end up being a complete disaster, which in our case it didn't. Yeah, it's one of those situations. But of course, I've dealt with the British version of post-show adrenaline / euphoria. The Spanish version, well, I mean, I guess I've dealt with that too, many, many years ago. But I mean, the Spanish version, quite something else. So, not everyone stayed for this part because, again, some of them, had exams and whatnot. So those who stayed ended up going to one of the local pubs that was, a couple of streets away. In most Spanish towns, you won't go, 2 streets without finding a pub of some kind. Unless you're in As Neves, apparently, which we found out after this, while we were staying at a hotel nearby. But that's beside the point. So yeah, we were there, and there was like a whole table that was laid out because the headmaster made a reservation, and then said, oh, and then the director said, hey, as a thanks, let's do some of the songs. What should we sing to thank everyone? And then we all started throwing out suggestions, and it was very interesting because obviously the idea of like communal singing after an event or something, is not a typical karaoke or just football style chants or something, because we're a choir, right? We've practiced most of the songs that we were dealing with, so they sounded both polished and chanty at the same time, which I think was somewhat the point that he was trying to achieve with some of the songs. We didn't quite get there beforehand, but yeah, everyone was banging on the tables, doing percussion or clinking glasses. Someone broke a glass at one point. by accident, of course. And we even had the director even 3D printed a bunch of spoons, cuyeres, a typical, like, instrumental spoons, the kind that you can actually play, or that one of us could actually play, who had actually done one of the songs included that. But then she started trying to teach me how to do it. Well, I say trying. I think I did decently. She seemed happy enough. Wouldn't I find better when I'm not looking at them? There you go. Kind of like riding a bike, I suppose. You look at the pedals and suddenly you start, like, fumbling around. Yeah. So I got a set of those, but I also got several other things. I'm in a fully new outfit today, but actually, you'll see that tonight if you want to watch me review the AFMAO D&D experience coming back. But yeah, I also got a sash that was the graduating class from the school. It said 2023 to 2025 because it's for bachillerato, so they had 2 years. So I was like, that's interesting. but yeah, a lot of things they got me to stand up. They the choir director put that on me. I also got a mug which I've yet to use. Actually, we took it back. It's remained in its wrapping. I need to give that a debut. Some nice British tea in the Spanish mug. That's feel like that summarizes me quite well. British buried deep within, but Spanish exhibited mostly elsewhere. Makes sense. And yeah, once we got back here, and they did the choir festival. One thing that I didn't mention at the time was that I actually had a headache at the time, but after we landed. That's the thing that happens sometimes. It's called aerosinusitis. It's when your sinuses can't, filter out air for the change of pressure. So you get like headaches and sometimes nosebleeds and the like. But yeah, it happened to me once before. Ironically enough, flying to Galicia a couple of years ago. So I knew what it was, and I was like, okay, I'll be fine once we land and once I get some rest. Little did I know that I was about to be, much like The Godfather, I was about to be given an offer I could not refuse. And off I went. Off I was dropped off at the festival, where apparently there were about 70 odd choirs in that day. I was there for the last 2 hours because my mum happened to be driving past and she realised it was going on in the first place. I listened for a bit. Didn't really do much singing along, although everyone else was. What I did do was I filmed a bunch of things. I sent them to the director. I sent them to I sent them to someone else who actually asked me about it. And I've compared aerosinusitis to the feeling when Harry felt Voldemort's intense emotions and his scar started burning and his skull felt like he was splitting. So yeah. But that was fine, as loud as they were, I could go at the back and I could just, enjoy casually. It was nothing compared to being on the flight itself. But yeah, that was the only real issue. Because in between that time, obviously you're wondering, where the heck have I been? Because I've done one video in like the past week. Technically I've done 2, because yesterday was D&D on the Butter Bunch, so that's you can check that out if you want. But yeah, it's just because I actually packed up my my electronics and had my dad take them away before the choir concert, so I was unable to record anything. I used to have that mod mic wireless that I seem to have lost. but so I could record things in a remote fashion. You know, the one that I had like on the side of my head. I really should get another one of those, but I don't think I have enough time before we fly again. Well, I'll have to see. If I place the order very quickly and remember to do so, maybe I will have some success in that matter. Who's to say, really? But yeah, after that point, it was essentially a case of my mum and I continue, because my dad had something to do back at home. We've got something to do right now, actually. He's done a couple of interviews on the subject of AI on TV over here. Something I mentioned casually yesterday, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to move along before. I was like, oh yeah, so anyway, we're setting up for this. We need I need some more backgrounds, please, or stuff like that. But yeah, he's about to come back, so. But yeah, he's them. So yeah, that was just my mum and I continuing to clean and pack and clean and clean and pack, and then afterwards went to that hotel, like I said, where I'm basically a regular now, because she checked in there with Dad before, checked out to stay with me in my apartment, and then checked back in again with me, and also a previous time when they came to visit as well for my birthday. So yeah, they know her well, and me as well, because it turns out that it's run by the mother of one of my students, or former students now, I suppose. And she showed me a picture and everything. I guess they must have asked, oh hey, what's the reason for your travels? Like, oh well, I guess, our son is doing this and blah 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 blah. It's like, oh well, that's a coincidence. My daughter is at this school and that's what they've received. Something like that. I don't know. Classic conversation between parents that beguiles me until such a time as I am fortunate enough to have kids of my own. If should the time ever present itself. Oh well. Until such a time, I'll keep writing about it, because why not? But yeah, speaking of writing projects and, well, I guess projects in general, that's one thing I didn't mention, that I actually shadow dropped a new video. You know, I said that I had a list of priorities of videos, and one of them I didn't want to talk about. Well, I can talk about it now. It's called Hybrid Academy, and it's it's a gacha story, and it's not on the main channel because it's not part of the Butterverse. So I just wanted to do something separately. It's the idea that I talked about relating to the idea of like, oh, what if people actually did unlock transformations the way that it's been talked about in gacha until this point? And I would love to talk about it some more, but I want to do that properly on Friday, I guess. Unless Friday's another flying day. I forget the exact order of proceedings. But yeah, I might talk about it soon, I might not. But if you want to check it out for now, it's some more gacha from Jacob. And right afterwards, as I promised, I would move on to the next project in the priority list, which is the next Music Girl episode. Well, I say that, I'm editing the next Music Girl episode because I have all that stuff, but I've sent out for lines for the following part because, actually, I received messages on the day that I flew back from both Nova and Miller. So the VAs for Morwenna and formerly Pop. You know, one of them saying that he was more available, the other one saying that she wanted to do her own project, which I need to help promote and actually, you know, re-audition for and such. That's one thing, because we've been having a lot of outings and catch-ups and stuff. I need to catch up on voice acting, because I was going to do a lot of that yesterday, didn't get the chance to. I was going to do it today, ended up going shopping, for reasons that I might talk about next week. So yeah, I really ought to get back because once again, Aiden is waiting for me because he wants to talk about, again, Hybrid Academy and the future of that, because it is somewhat uncertain at the moment. Because that's on me. I'm not sure how exactly I want to continue it, and but yeah, maybe at some point we'll do another Musing Girl editing stream now that that's back on the table. I'm not sure. It's amazing that partly because of Hybrid Academy, the only Musing Girl video that got released during my time in Spain was the remake. But yeah, I think I've got one more scene. I just need to scavenge around, make sure I have the labeled files and all that stuff from everyone else, from all the other editors, because I'm pretty sure I got to just the final one. So who knows? Maybe Weather Pops will happen sometime sooner than I imagined. Because it is number 2 now on the list. It was number 3, it's number 2 now. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, it's been quite the week, and we're flying back out fairly soon. We've got more events this week. No rest for the wicked, that's what I say. As of now. I normally don't, but there you go. So yeah, I'm back here again. Don't know what's going on here. I'm not going to wait to find out. So yeah, please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters, and subscribe to us already. And on that note, until next time, when I'll be back in Spain again, farewell.